Today I am going to be adding 3 Bokashi buckets to the compost pile. I keep 4 of these buckets in our garage. We add all of our kitchen scraps, all of our food waste to them, including meat, dairy, bones, cooked foods, oily foods, all of those things. That way we are a zero food waste household. Today I'm going to show you what the buckets look like when they're ready and how to know when they're ready. And we're going to add them to the compost pile, which will in turn heat that pile up and help it turn into usable compost faster. These are 5-gallon buckets, and these are gamma lids. A gamma lid is a 2-piece system that keeps this bucket airtight, it keeps air out, and it keeps smells in. The best way to tell if your Bokashi bucket is fully fermented and ready to be added to a soil factory, trenched in a garden, or added to a compost pile is the smell. You're looking for a strong vinegar smell, and that lets you know it's ready. Also, you'll notice in this bucket some white mold. White mold is anaerobic mold. This is an anaerobic, aka without oxygen process, so white mold is a good thing to see. I'm not going to perform a full entire flip today. I'm just going to add these 3 Bokashi buckets to an existing pile and take some compost from another pile to add to it. As I add the buckets, the goal is to layer the Bokashi, which is a nitrogen input, with the wood chips and the current compost pile and the dried garden clippings, which are considered carbon inputs. As I mentioned before, Bokashi is an anaerobic process, and now what we're doing is we're having the Bokashi ferment go through an aerobic decomposition process in the compost pile. For the Bokashi to ferment, you have to add a special microbe-inoculated bran when you're adding your food scraps to the bucket. So every time I add some food scraps to the bucket, I'm sprinkling some of the microbe-inoculated bran into the bucket on top of those food scraps. Once the bucket's full, the lid is sealed and it sits for 2 to 3 weeks to ferment. I also like to rinse my buckets out and then pour that water back on the pile because 1, it's less wasteful, but 2, there's probably a lot of good microbial life in that water and I want it in the pile. I use compost thermometers to keep tabs on how hot my pile is, and I'm aiming for at least 120 degrees Fahrenheit in 72 hours. I just let the buckets dry in the sun and then they're ready to use again. Check the caption for Bokashi sources.